Michael Hulm sliding and spinning. Look, oh, there's a crash. Martin Kadlecík scores a victory. Tomáš Pekař in the gravel, there was a crash in the opening corner. Three-way fight now along the pit straight, wonderful stuff going on. Martin Kadlecík becoming this season's Renault Clio Cup champion. So is Tomáš Pekař in the Mark V class. There's a crash already. Oh, that's a big one right at the start. And now he's absolutely dominated the 2023 Clio Cup, having won absolutely everything.
Hello and welcome everybody, this is Red Bull Ring in Austria and we are just ready to start the second round of FIA Central European Zone Championship weekend of 2024 season, and I believe the great weekend full of racing action is just ahead of us. And of course, as you can see, we will be starting with the first race of the weekend of a Renault Clio Cup, and this series always provides some action. You were watching to the highlights from the first round on a brand new Hungarian circuit, Palaton Park, where the season has started, and it was a great start for a Czech driver Tomáš Pekař, who is leading the championship after the first two races, having won the first race in Hungary and then managed to score the second place in the race 2. So it was a great start of the season for Czech driver and for, I would say, Czech specialist for driving a Renault Clio, because this is the place to be for Tomáš Pekař, quite definitely, I would say this. But anyway, we have over 20 cars on the grid, split into two categories for Renault Clio Cup. And of course, it seems to me there is a very early drama for one of the cars. There was a crash in a sighting lap. Yes, there was a crash in a sighting lap, and there is yellow Renault Clio, and I believe this must be one of the Slovakian drivers, and I believe it is the part of a Kazarka team. It should be like this. As I can see it clearly, it could be number 6, which should be Marko Kazarka. So this is very, very early disappointment for Slovakian driver who has apparently crashed during the sighting lap. So he will not reach the starting grid. So the race will be going on without him. And this is big, big upset for the Slovakian driver just before the race gets underway. And I can say this is the worst nightmare for any racing driver you can possibly imagine, because no one wants to crash during the sighting lap. It's a great shame for a Slovakian driver, and of course first duty for the race marshals to get on the track and to clean it and to make it clear again for the race to go green. I hope there is no damage to the barriers, because if the part of the barriers would require a replacement, it could postpone the start of the race, and we don't believe it's gonna happen right now, because the whole paddock hopes we will go according to the schedule which has been set for this weekend, and it's quite busy schedule actually, because we do have series after series on the racetrack, actually from the very, very early morning. The race action here on Red Bull Ring is on. If I take a look on the schedule of this racing weekend, we have a Saturday, the 18th of May, and the race action has started at 8:30 in the morning with TCR Eastern Europe qualifying, followed by European Cup F3 qualifying. Then there was a Drexler Formula Cup on the track also for the qualifying session. Then quite few minutes before the Renault Clio Cup Race 1, we had the qualifying of Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship, and right now we are getting ready for the first race of Clio Cup. And you can see the starting grid for the Race 1. As I said, I believe it will be without the number 6, Marco Casarca. As you can see, originally there were 29 cars on the grid, but I believe it will be only 28. Yes, it really looks like number 6, so it really should be a Marco Casarca, the Slovakian driver who crashed. And most likely it was on the back straight, which means on the second straight after the turn 3. The circuit here on Red Bull Ring is starting with turn 1. Then you have the second long straight into the turn 3, which is quite sharp hairpin, heavy braking. And after the turn 3 follows the next straight, and I believe the crash of the Slovakian driver Marco Casarca happened there. So very unlucky place for Slovakian driver. So it will be -1 car on the grid, and you can see that grid is getting clear. The mechanics, the team members are leaving the place. So we will be ready to start the formation lap and then start the race, and it will be the race 1 for the Renault Clio Cup here on Red Bull Ring. And I hope it will be full of action, because this is what we get used to it. Watching this series, it always delivers, I would say. It's always action-packed, and the slipstream plays its part each time, because the starting field is divided only into 2 classes. The first class is TCC 1 for Renault Clio Cup 4. The second class is TCC 2 for Renault Clio Cup 5. And all the cars are almost the same. So this is proper cup racing with some close battles. And it is always exciting, not only for the spectators, but of course also for the drivers themselves, because they enjoy some proper racing each race. Formation lap is on, so finally we will be ready to start this race in a few minutes. According to the schedule, the 5 red lights will be out at 10:50, so I would say in 2.5 minutes the race will be underway. And you can see the orange car leading the way just behind the white car. These are 2 Renault Clio Cup 5 cars, so the latest generation of Renault Clio, the latest generation of Renault Clio Cup car, this race car for this one brand series. And we need to be focused particularly on the orange car on the second place, because Tomáš Pekař, as I said previously, he had great start of the season with taking P1 and P2 on Peloton Park. So Tomáš Pekař will be one to watch during this race weekend. Let's take a look on the starting grid in general. It is another driver from Carpac Service, David Zivok, on the pole position. Tomáš Pekař, the team boss of Carpac Service, on the second place. P3, it's Bartoloměj Mirecký. P4, it is Nikodem Sobčík. Row 3, P5, it's Filip Kunčer. P6 is Ivan Pulic. Row 4, P7, Nick Stefancic. Also watch him because he knows this track very well. Next to him, P8, it's Filip Bartoš. Then it is row 5, P9, Julian Smiechowski. And P10, Nico Wist. This is the top 10 in the overall standings. And of course, also take a look in the second class, in a TCC1 class for a Renault Clio Cup 4 cars. There is Martin Kadlecik, the Czech driver, on the pole position, ready to fight for another victory. He's not a newcomer. He comes back to the series. He was not in Hungary for the opening race weekend, but we all know how quick he can be. So definitely Martin Kadlecik in TCC1 class is the one to watch this weekend. So it is Martin Kadlecik next to René Leutenegger on the second place in a TCC1 class. The starting grid is split between the two classes. The first 21 positions are TCC2 class, the new cars, the Renault Clio Cup 5 cars. And then from 25th position down, it is TCC1 class. Well, the starting grid is getting ready. The very last cars, the very last drivers on the grid are looking for their starting spots. With number 5, the yellow car, it is Tomáš Kazarka, the Slovakian driver, the second one from Kazarka team. And one more time, I need to say that his teammate Marko Kazarka was forced to retire even before the race has started because he had a crash on the back straight from the turn 3 on. Anyway, let's get ready for the start of the race. 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and red lights are out. The race has started, and let's go into the first corner. It looks like that the Polish driver David Zivok had the best start, and he is maintaining his lead. So the first place for the 29 car from Carpac Service. Many cars wide off the track, but no crash. And that's a good news, of course. So no safety cars so far. And let's have a closer look on the battle at the front of the race, because Tomáš Pekař is under the pressure from the outside into turn 3. So watch the battle for the second place right now. It should be, I believe, Bartoloměj Mirecký trying to attack Tomáš Pekař and take his second position. It is side by side between the Czech and Polish driver on the back straight. But now the advantage. Oh, there was a huge lockup for one of the cars. Most likely it was number 777, who is Nikodem Sobčík. So this driver went far away off the track into the gravel zone, but I believe he will be able to rejoin the race and continue. But this was a huge moment for number 777. Fortunately, there was no crash, but it was really a huge lockup for this driver. Anyway, it is still David Zivok leading the field from the first place, Tomáš Pekař on the second place, and Bartoloměj Mirecký on P3 right now. And here comes the leader. Here comes the leader on the main straight. So David Zivok leads the race and he is setting a pace right now. Tomáš Pekář behind him and Bartolomiej Mirecki still pushing hard on Tomáš Pekář, trying to find a way ahead of him. And as you can see, the Tomáš Pekář needs to be in the defensive line because Bartolomiej Mirecki has the intention to go inside on him. And then there is a second group of cars led by Filip Kunčer on the 4th place, but there is a battle for P4 right now. But I believe Filip Kunčer will be able to maintain his 4th place. But in the meantime, Bartolomiej Mirecki one more time, he's trying to attack Tomáš Pekář. And right now, I believe Bartolomiej Mirecki will be successful into the next corner because he has the inside line, and this is how Bartolomiej Mirecki is taking the P2. Tomáš Pekář, in the meantime, he went off into the gravel, but there is a crash. There was a crash. This is 47 car. This is car number 47, and that's René Leutenegger, the driver from DCC1 class, so the driver of the older Renault Clio Cup 4. Not sure right now what has happened over there, but we can also see a lot of debris on the track, so definitely we have the yellow flags, and it is a safety car. It is a safety car. The safety car is deployed right now, and I believe it is also because of the debris lying on the track. The track is not ready for clean racing right now, so the track marshals will have some work to do and will have to clean the track again. And of course, they need to put the car of the German driver behind the barriers to make it safe for the racing again. As you can see, the safety car is already waiting for the queue of the racing cars. I'm still wondering what has happened there, because we didn't see any other car involved in the crash. So quite was. Oh, there is a second car. Yes, there is a second car, and I believe it is number 63, which is Ivan Sentic, a car Ragusa Racing. So there were at least 2 cars involved in this crash, and this is the reason why we have a safety car on track right now. You can see the second car is off the racing line in the turn 3. But I'm not quite sure if it was a contact with the German driver René Leutenegger, because I believe that his broken car was standing in the different part of the track. But maybe some highlights will show us the truth about what happened on Red Bull Ring during the race 1 here in Austria. But anyway, so far behind the safety car it is still David Zivok leading the way, leading the field. He has started from the pole position and he is keeping his first place ahead of Bartolomiej Mirecki, who managed to pass Tomáš Pekář on the racetrack. Behind Tomáš Pekář there is Ivan Pulic on P4, Nick Stefancic on P5, Julian Smichovski on P6, Filip Bartoš on P7, Henrik Seibel on P8, Jaka Marinček on P9 and Nico Wüst on P10. This is the best 10, the top 10 of the race so far. And the safety car will be on the track definitely at last one more lap, because we still can see the 63 car of Ivan Sentic on the track, and the track marshals are still trying to remove the broken car from the track. then of course the cleaning of the racetrack will be necessary, because one more time, as you can see, there are a lot of debris on the track, on the tarmac, and it will be necessary to make it clean again. Tomáš, I would say they have some work to clean the track. It's not quite easy to remove the Renault Clio from the track, as you can see. And meanwhile, the whole field is passing by one more time, and one more time behind the safety car. If we speak about the weather here on Red Bull Ring, we can say so far so good. Everybody in the paddock woke up into quite foggy morning, and the track was partly wet, partly dry. But after the sunrise, it got dry all over the track, so we have a dry racing line, and I believe the conditions are just perfect for proper clean racing here on Red Bull Ring. The big question mark, of course, is the weather tomorrow, because the forecast says it can be also rainy tomorrow. And of course tomorrow we have more racing action, so maybe some races will be held on wet tires, but anyway, most likely not today. If the rain comes, it will be tomorrow. Anyway, let's go back to Renault Clio Cup Race 1, because as you can see, the safety car went back to the pit lane, and we are ready to restart this race with David Zivok leading the way. And we are waiting for the green flags. And the drivers see the green, the race will be on again. And we are racing again, 10 minutes to go. David Zivok leading the way from the first place, Bartolomiej Mirecki on the second place, and Tomáš Pekář in his orange Renault Clio Cup car 5 is on P3. But it looks to me that Bartolomiej Mirecki, he has a better pace right now, and quite possibly he will be able to attack David Zivok. And huge lockup, and there is a contact between the two cars and the front. And this is a huge chance also for Tomáš Pekář to take the lead of the race. And you can see it's 3 wide right now on the back straight from the turn number 3. There was a huge mistake by Bartolomiej Mirecki, who touched the car of David Zivok. And this is a great chance for Czech driver Tomáš Pekář, who is on the inside line, and he takes the lead right now. Wow, what has happened there in turn 3? Really huge mistake by Bartolomiej Mirecki, who attacked David Zivok, but he made a mistake. He locked up his front brakes, and he crashed into David Zivok. And this is how Tomáš Pekář took the lead. He just said, "Thank you very much, guys. I'm taking the inside line and taking the first place." So this was a huge moment also for Czech driver Tomáš Pekář, who is close to victory right now. As you can see, immediately he gained a gap over the car on the second place, and there is another car off track. We have also another car off track, and this might be a safety car again. This is number 88, Dejan Robida. Number 88, Dejan Robida off the track, and there is another car off track, and I believe this is just the exit from the turn 1. So it was only somebody really wide, but this is not quite unusual in a turn 1 here on Red Bull Ring, I would say. But anyway, look at Tomáš Pekář. Look at Tomáš Pekář, he is keeping his lead right now, and he is gaining the advantage over the car on the second place. And right now it is Bartoloměj Mirecký ahead of David Zivok, Nick Stefancic P4, Ivan Pulic P5, and as I said, it is safety car again. And of course it is quite necessary to have a safety car on track because there is a car stuck in the gravel zone, and the track marshals will need to work on this one more time. So second safety car during the first race of Renault Clio Cup Race 1 here on Red Bull Ring. So as I said, one more time, it's quite action-packed race. But maybe this is also good news for Tomáš Pekář, because right now he can look after his tires, look after his car, maybe to cool down a bit and get ready for the rest of the race, because I believe that one more time he will be facing a pressure from the Polish driver behind him. We know very well that Bartoloměj Mirecký is quite fast. He proved himself many times, so I believe Bartoloměj Mirecký will try to attack Tomáš Pekář when the race will be restarted. And you can you can see this crash, this incident, it was the driver's mistake. Dejan Robida, he just lost his car and went off into the gravel where he stuck. So one more time, more work for track marshals, but I believe quite possibly Dejan Robida will be able to rejoin the race, because the marshals get him out from the gravel, and the engine, I guess, is still running, so most likely Dejan Robida will rejoin the race and will continue fighting. But of course he lost a lap, so it is right now almost impossible for him to take some places in his favor, let's say. Safety car still on the track, and Dejan Robida is entering the pit lane, so after all he will not be rejoining the race. And we got the message from the race control that the race will be restarted again, because the safety car will leave the track and go into the pits at the end of this lap. So we will be racing again in a few moments. So let's get ready for more track action. The safety car left Tomáš Pekář at the front of the race. So let's get ready for the green flag again. Let's get ready for the big final of the Renault Clio Cup Race 1 here on Red Bull Ring. And it is Tomáš Pekář on P1, just ahead of David Zivok on P2 and Bartoloměj Mirecký on P3. Green flag in the air, so let's go racing again. 3 minutes 40 seconds till the checkered. And Tomáš Pekář is leading the way. He has the advantage into the turn 1, so far no danger for the Czech driver, but David Zivok on the second place, by the way. So David Zivok retakes his second place, which means that Bartoloměj Mirecký most likely was forced to give up his position. But anyway, let's focus on the battle for the first place, because there is David Zivok attacking Tomáš Pekář from the outside. But Tomáš Pekář is keeping his racing line, so Czech driver still on P1 ahead of the two opponents. And it should be David Zivok again trying to find a way ahead of a Czech driver behind him with number 96. It is Bartolomiej Mirecki, and look how close he is. And of course, there is also the Slovenian driver Nik Stefancic. And Nik Stefancic, he is trying to attack the Bartolomiej Mirecki. And Nik Stefancic is taking the third place right now. So great job from the Slovenian driver. As I said, Nik Stefancic, he knows the Red Bull Ring very well. He also took a part in the Slovenian championship here on this track a few weeks earlier, so he's quite familiar with this track. He has done a lot of testing here, but this is an attack on a first place, and a great job by David Zivok. David Zivok is one more time the leader of the race. Tomáš Pekář on P2 and Bartolomiej Mirecki on P3. This will be quite exciting for the last 2 minutes of the race. You can see that also another car is trying to attack Tomáš Pekář right now, and should be also Martin Kadlecik, another Czech driver. You can see the orange starting number on the window, which means this car belongs to the TCC1 class, and that exactly should be Martin Kadlecik, because Martin Kadlecik is racing in TCC1 with the older Renault Clio Cup 4, and right now it is Martin Kadlecik taking the overall lead of the race. So this is quite exciting stuff happening on the track right now. This should be Martin Kadlecik on the first place, and I believe it is the Czech driver gaining the advantage over Tomáš Pekář and also David Zivok. Oh yes, it is number 301, so it is the Czech driver Martin Kadlecik who is leading his TCC1 class right now, and he is also at the front ahead of the overall leader of the race, who is David Zivok at the moment, and Tomáš Pekář is there behind him. So the top three cars have some decent advantage over the rest of the field, and we have last 15 seconds to go. So the next lap should be the last lap of the race. Last 5 seconds, and I believe we will easily see that the next lap is the final one, or is the checkered out? It's the checkered flag, yes! So this is the end of the race. This is the end of the race, and Martin Kadlecik was there first on the finish line. So Martin Kadlecik is the winner of TCC1 class. Behind him it is David Zivok, the winner of TCC2 class, and P3 overall, and second place in TCC2 class goes to Tomáš Pekář. Bartolomiej Mirecki third place in TCC2 and fourth place overall. Behind him it was Ivan Pulič, Julian Smichovský, Nik Stefancic, Filip Bartoš, Henrik Zeibel, Nikovist, Retovist, Marko Blaževský, Jaka Marinček, Miha Primožič, Nikodem Sobčík, Tomáš Kazarka, Filip Kunčer, Walter Nežič, Katarzyna Terlikovská, Ondrej Fekete, Ivan Gustin, Petr Palotas on P22, and we have 3 cars which are in the pits, and these 3 cars are number 88 Dejan Robida, number 63 Ivan Sentic, and number 47 René Leutenegger. These 3 drivers were forced to retire during the first race of Renault Clio Cup here on Red Bull Ring. So we have 22 cars from 25 originally on the grid. Reaching the finish line of the race 1 here on Red Bull Ring. So one more time, it was great finish by the Czech driver Martin Kadlecik. who managed to pass David Zivok and also Tomáš Pekař on the racetrack. So he was first on the finish line, and he is taking the class victory in DCC1 class with his older Renault Clio Cup 4, and behind him it was David Zivok, the winner of DCC2 class, just ahead of Tomáš Pekař. The second place in DCC2 class for Tomáš Pekař, the leader of Clio Cup Bohemia drivers classification. And this is actually great, you know, because the maximum from Balaton Park for David Zivok was a third place from race 2. And here on a Red Bull Ring, he won the first race on Saturday morning. So much better weekend for David Zivok so far here in Austria, if we compare it with his performance in Hungary a few weeks ago. So I believe David Zivok will be quite happy with his performance. One more time, the overall standings of the race. So as you can see, Martin Kadlecik, first place after 9 laps, only 0.8 of a second ahead of the Polish driver David Zivok. Tomáš Pekař P3, another Polish driver, and the man on the second place of the championship before this race weekend, Bartolomiej Mirecki, on P4. So these were our top 4 drivers in the overall standings of the Renault Clio Cup Race 1 here on Red Bull Ring. Well, there will be much to talk about after this race, because we had some contact, some incidents, and also some great racing. Clio Cup. So this was the first race of Renault Clio Cup here on Red Bull Ring, Austria. And I believe the great weekend of racing is still ahead of us so far. Thank you for listening, thank you for joining us. Have a great Saturday and goodbye.